Hello, everyone, and welcome to Worthy, a New Covenant podcast. It's your host, Mike Day, alongside our guest today,
David Patterson.
David Patterson, here in the flesh. We're glad that y'all are listening today. It's been a minute. I'm glad that y'all are tuning in. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to learn from Mr. David here. I guess first, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm David Patterson. I am 30, and the Lord has just been at work in my life longer than I can remember, and I just am highly blessed and highly favored.
Well, we're glad you're here. How's your day been?
Long. 4 o'clock starts early, and 4 kids and wife. And
4 o'clock?
Yeah. That's what time I wake up usually.
Why?
Because I start work at 5, but...
Really?
Yeah.
And so what do you do?
Oh, I am in septic, cleaning porta-johns.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. Gotta love it.
Honestly, I think it actually is cool.
It is.
What company is it?
Archer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We do from all around the lake, Coosa County, all the way up to Georgia. So
Really?
we're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that is. I mean, if you go to any event
Yeah.
around this area, you're going to see Archer porta potties. So,
And any construction, we've got everywhere.
yeah. Is that what you do? You go to each one of them, you clean them and all?
Every day, every week, 5 days a week, about 12 hours a day. Nothing like the fresh smell of poop to wake you up in the morning.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, what do you drive by yourself and all? Or you just kind of run it? How long you been doing that?
About 4 months now.
4
5
months.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a recent thing.
Yeah.
And you, before that?
Just side odd and ends,
Odd
and
and
taking
ends.
care of 4 kids.
Oh, man.
House
Yeah.
mom.
So 4 kids.
Yeah.
What are the ages?
Twin 3-year-olds, an 8-year-old, and a 9-year-old.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
So twin, how old are the twins?
3. They'll be 4 in November.
Oh, okay. So we hit the Y's yet? The Y.
Oh, yeah. Everything is why and how and why. And it's lovely. That's why I got a job.
So y'all doing daycare, or how?
No, I was the daycare when my wife worked, and now that I'm working, she is the daycare.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a little switcheroo after 3 years, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You don't mind the poop so much anymore when you're getting out the house,
Yeah. So anyway, this is a member. You've been a member of the New Covenant, and how long you been a member of New Covenant?
About 13 years now.
13 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my mom started coming here. Well, actually, I had gotten in some trouble when I was younger, and the man, he's actually the sheriff of Coosa County now. He invited me here, me and my mom, and so when the man that keeps getting you in trouble invites you to church, you go because you might get out of some trouble. Was my intention, and then the Lord just worked on me and took over and changed my life, and it's been a rough ride, but it's been amazing, really.
Really?
Yeah.
So your mom's been coming here for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, we started coming when he invited us.
Okay.
And, my niece, she's 15 now, and we've been coming since she was 2. So she had just turned 2 when we started.
Well, that's good. That's good. And Ronnie was still preaching at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful man.
Yeah, very much wonderful man. We've had him on once, and then we've had Pastor Guy on, our current pastor, a few times. So, but anyway, so tell us a little bit about that. You said you kind of got in a little trouble, and then you came to church. If you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about your testimony. Like, how did you come to the Lord?
So when I was 15, I had gotten in some trouble. My grandfather passed away when I was, I think, 13, and he was like my dad. And I kind of just gave up on life, and when I was 15, I got in some trouble, some serious trouble, and I got sent off to a group home. In the process of being in the group home, they ran blood work on me. They said my kidneys were functioning at 3%, and I had 0 symptoms. So they couldn't figure out why. They released me to Children's in Birmingham, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they were actually releasing me from the hospital. And my doctor, the nurses brought some videos up for me to take home and watch to pick what kind of dialysis I wanted to be on. And my doctor came running down the hallway like it's something you see out of a movie or something. Like as I'm packing my bags, my doctor come running down the hallway. I know what it is. And it's this really rare thing that they don't really know anything about. All the doctors that I've seen, every specialist in the state of Alabama, and all of them said they remember reading about it in the books at school, but they've never seen it. And it's called Wegener's granulomatosis. And so, long story short, I got put on chemo, all kind of stuff, to a lot of steroids to kill what was killing my kidneys. And then it lasted a few years. He said he got it back to about 30% function, and that was as good as it would ever be. And then it lasted a few years. Then I got put on dialysis. I was on dialysis for 3 years. I had, in January of 2017, I had my last appointment to be put on the transplant waiting list. I'd been waiting years for this appointment. And my mom came to wake me up, and she said, we got to go to your appointment. And I told her, no, my head hurts. I'm going to sleep. I'm not going. And I woke up a week and a half later completely paralyzed. I had a brain aneurysm burst in my sleep. So in that week and a half that I was in the coma, they told my mom they didn't think I was going to wake up. If I did, I wouldn't remember anybody. I'd be real mean and aggravated, and the side effects from the brain surgery. Well, my aunt told my mom, go in there and put your hands on him, because I had went septic. And she said, go put your hands on him and tell God what you need him to do. So she did. And she said she felt just so at peace that whatever happens, she knows that I'm taken care of. And the very next day I wasn't septic. And the very next day I woke up.
Wow.
Completely paralyzed on my left side. Fingers, toes, mouth. I've got pictures of me smiling, and only the right side of my face is moving, smiling like. But they said that they didn't want to pull my feeding tube out because it'd be about 6-7 weeks for me to eat again, and they'd have to put the tube back in, and it would do more harm than good. She fought with them with the nurse, and they pulled my feeding tube out. I was eating KFC that night. They said for her to tell her work for FMLA that it'd be about 7 months she'd be up there for me to learn how to walk again and use my arm and whatnot. And from the day of my surgery, including the coma, for a week and a half, I walked out of there on my own 2 feet in 28 days.
Wow.
And that was right there. I had been coming to church before that, but I never really fully submitted. And when I woke up paralyzed, that whole process, I never felt sorry for myself. I never cried. Nothing. No matter what they told me, like I just knew this is what I got to do and this is how I'm going to do it. And I walked out of there in 28 days, including the week and a half coma. And right then I just knew this is only God, I've died twice. Once then during my brain aneurysm. Fast forward to December of 2018, I had a girl I was dating. She signed up behind my back to donate me a kidney, and she ended up being a match and gave me her kidney. Surgery went great, and I came out of it, and the nurse gave me my pain pump and said, push this so I know you know how to work it. So I pushed the button, and she didn't set the machine up. I coded for a minute and a half, and they had to bring me back and wouldn't give me anything but Tylenol after a kidney transplant.
Oh my.
So I died for a minute and a half then. That was December 12th, 2018. Fast forward again, I met my wife through a tattoo that I have commemorating my kidney transplant. And she says, "What's that date on there?" And so I tell her, and she said, "Well, that's my birthday, my now wife." And through all the chemo and stuff that I had when they found out about my kidney failure and all the medicine that I take about 30 pills a day. And they said that I could never have kids. And then my wife got pregnant with twin boys. And their due date was December 12th, 2021. But, so I was like, okay, God, I'll marry her. Just, leave me alone.
This is the one.
Yeah. So, just he's been working in my life before I even knew who he was, and my mom always told me, you live life forward, but you understand it backwards. You understand what the reasonings were for a lot of your failures and traumas and mistakes. There was a bigger purpose. And had I not gotten in trouble to begin with when I was 15, I would have never found out about my kidney failure and I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. That's
So,
good. I like that. I like that whole slogan that your grandmother used. It's very true. It's something we know of. We hear a lot, but never heard it put that way. So that's neat. You live life forward, but you understand it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Now, so you were able to get a kidney transplant, and
Yes.
everything went good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a
minus being overdosed, and
Yeah.
everybody said, "Oh, well, that's a lawsuit. That's a lawsuit." And I said, "For what? They brought me back. You can't ask for much more than that. Just don't let it happen again."
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So, I guess one question I have for you, if you're able to answer this, is you said you got in trouble, and you said you came to the Lord, and kind of walk us through that. You told us that you knew that it was God in that moment of just the specific dates, and then carrying you through what you went through. But how was your life changed? Like what changed? Do you see that God's really been moving in you?
Oh, it's been a complete 180. I've always had a good heart and good character, but I was an awful kid. Just being honest. And He has moved on me in every kind of way. Like I've had a limp since from my brain surgery and being paralyzed. I've had a bad limp. He's healed me from that one time, and then the enemy tried to work it back in, and I gave into it, and he's recently healed me from it again. And it just makes me want to cry, like just realizing. But my mindset, when I came out of my brain surgery, the first thing they asked me, they told my mom I wouldn't remember anybody and I'd be real mean and agitated. I'm nicer and more level-headed than I've ever been. The first thing they asked me was, "Do you know that woman in the doorway?" I said, "Yeah, that's my mom." I've remembered everybody. I've, lived a lot more selfless. I've do anything. I've always had a good heart and done whatever I can to help people, but I lived for myself before, and now I don't. It's so much greater out there that I know I'm provided for.
Yeah.
I don't have that anxiousness. I don't have that worry, or it always tries to creep back in. We're human, but I don't live like that anymore. And there's just so many blessings that have poured into my life since I quit worrying, and just done for others before myself.
Right.
So,
wow. Well, dang, David, that's good right there. That's good, but you have that but God moment, but God came in and, changed everything around. So did you grow up around in Dadeville?
no, I'm actually from Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a long way from home. So I can go back that far to, I didn't go to a church for the first time until I was maybe 13, and never been in a church before. And when I started going to that church, it was to hang out with my friends because they were going, And those were little seeds planted. I see that now, but going back all the way to when I was in Arizona, I moved here when I was 12. But some stuff happened with my mom, and my grandpa moved from Arizona back to Goodwater, Alabama, and retired and bought a home, and he got sick. So when that stuff happened with my mom back home, we decided to move out here and spend his last few years with him. And so we did. But even before that, is how far it goes back, that I didn't even know who God was, other than I'm supposed to believe in him, like that's what you're supposed to do. And so he was looking out for me even back then, moving me from Phoenix, Arizona, one of the biggest cities in the world, in the United States, to Goodwater, Alabama, probably one of the smallest cities in the United States.
Yeah.
There's a caution light and a Dollar General. And, he knew ahead of time that my kidneys were going to fail. He has a plan. And looking back that far, I told my mom, I'm not moving to Alabama. The only thing I knew about Alabama was banjos and, missing teeth that you see in the movies,
Yeah.
And, being a kid and all my friends, I grew up in Phoenix. Like, that's my family, that's my friends, that's everything I know. And you're uprooting me to go live in the woods is not. I told my mom, I'm not going. My friend said I can live with him. And,
We have this whole plan.
yeah, I'm just going to camp out in his backyard. But no, so, we moved here, and I was here for 3 years about before found out about my kidney failure. I moved here when I was 12, and I found out my kidneys were failing at 15. Well, UAB is the number one in the country for heart and kidney transplants. So he put me exactly where I needed to be. And when I got in the trouble, I'm not going to go into detail about what happened, but I said no when I got propositioned on what happened. I said no. About a day, maybe two later, they came back and asked me, they said, well, just do this and I'll buy you a car if you do this. I'm 15. You're going to buy me a car. I'll do whatever you want, And, so had I not done it, had I just stuck with my no the first time and they not came back, I'd be dead right now. No 15-year-old with zero symptoms goes and gets their kidneys checked, And so putting me right here where I need to be with the best doctors in the country for kidney transplants.
Yeah.
They have this system up there at UAB started. It's the kidney chain. So say you need a kidney and you have somebody that's willing to donate you a kidney. I need a kidney and somebody's willing to donate me a kidney. We don't know each other, but my donor is a match for you and your donor is a match for me. They'll swap them. So your donor will donate for me and mine will donate for you. So everybody gets a kidney. If you've got someone willing to donate, you will get a kidney transplant. So it's a pretty amazing thing that they started. And, he knew where I needed to be. He knew what was going to happen. He knew he had a plan for my life. And, now it's just walking testimony. I tell anybody that'll listen, strangers and people at work, they'll come out of the porta john and, we'll just strike a conversation. I'll give them testimony, just everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what God's done in your life. And what's interesting, and most of y'all may know him from coming to church. If you don't, I will testify that he's he's one of the funniest people that I know, and
Funny
also
looking.
and always has a smile on his face too. So that's just a testimony too, because have these things happen and they choose anger and they choose to be sad and upset about it, but you don't.
I've had my share of depression, but that's a mental battle that you can't fight alone. So I did a lot of praying. He pulled me out of a lot of things. And at the end of the day, not everybody gets to wake up today. So how blessed are you? And, I even told my stepdaughter, it's been maybe a week ago, I said, we were sitting at the table in my dining room, and I told her, I said, you just need to thank God. She said, for what? I said, for how rich we are. She just looked at me crazy, like, we're rich? Hold on, we're rich? I said, not money, babe, but just the love that we have. We have a home. We have, as far as the world goes, I've been on disability since I was 15. You know, there's no way I should have the things that I have. No way. And I am just beyond blessed. Like, I have a house, I have vehicles, I have a wife, I have healthy children, I have, a way to take care of them, and it's just phenomenal. If you
Yeah.
trust them, he'll take care of.
Right. Yeah. And so, are you living in Dadeville now, or are you
I'm in
still
Out
in
City.
Goodwater?
I'm in Out City. I got out of Goodwater as quick as I could. Those banjos were getting too loud.
Oh goodness, yeah. So you split the middle. You said, okay.
Yeah, we gotta get something with city in the name at least. It might not be much of one, but it's called it.
Dadeville don't have that in it, so we got to go to Alex City.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get. Yeah.
So you would classify yourself as more like liking the city and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me and Bugs don't get along too well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. So do y'all travel ever? Have y'all traveled any?
We go to the beach or take the kids to Six Flags and stuff like that.
Probably hard with the kids and all.
Yeah, it's easy to find a babysitter for one kid. It's a lot harder for four.
Yeah. I would definitely say that. Now, if y'all was to take one, y'all usually like to go, to the beach. Is that usually y'all's destination?
Yeah.
I'm sure the kids enjoy that. So
yeah.
Now, are they in school system in Alex City or?
Well, we actually decided. My wife decided to do the homeschooling thing. We started last year.
Really?
And I was the one at home last year, so I was the one doing it, and I'm a great guy. I'm very intelligent. I am not the best teacher. I don't have the patience for it, and I'm too scared to pray about it because I know he's going to give it to me. And but now my wife is doing it, so it's going real good.
Yeah. So all of them are at homeschool.
Yeah, the twins, they do it's actually called a hippie program. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. So wonderful program. It's free. Anybody listening, if you have small children, it's a free program. Look into it. It's called Hippie, and they supply everything, and they come out once a week, and they give you a paper that tells you word for word what to do, what to say, and your children can learn. It's, I think, 3, 4, and 5 years old. But they have grown, the twins have grown so much through it, and it's fun activities. They love it. We're actually going to try to get them started in Head Start, I think, this year. So
that's good. Now you and your wife, y'all are involved at New Covenant, right?
yes.
So
yes.
what do y'all do at New Covenant?
I am a deacon here, and I just fit in wherever they need me. I am part of the youth ministry. I am a leader of the Royal Rangers, our Boy Scouts type thing that we started. I'm a commander, not a leader, but same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just go where I'm told.
That's it.
Just like at home, do what you're told, and it'll be good. Everything goes smooth.
Hey, that's the way to be right there.
Yeah.
That's the way to be. So one question I wanted to ask you, and probably kind of wrap this thing up, but I wanted to ask you real quick, through your journey, it's been a long journey, and again, you said, you live forward, but you see it backwards.
Right.
And what do you see as your discipline, or the number one thing that just keeps you in tune with God?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say open ears and obedience. You can have the most talent and most gifts on this planet, but if you're not obedient, it'll take you nowhere. So just, it's crazy who you can reach when you listen. And, I was always told you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You listen twice and speak once. And I think that goes hand in hand with that, because I know there's a lot of times that I'll hear something, God will give me a word, and it's always just one word, and it's so frustrating, but it'll just be one word, and then I'm like, oh no, that's my own understanding. See, Pastor Guy, when I told you about my depression that I went through, it was real, real bad. I was fighting a lot of bad things in my head. And before Pastor Guy, before he was even pastor, he gave me, still to this day, my favorite scripture, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Lean not on your own understanding, but trust in him in all your ways, and he will guide your path. And, so I always, when I hear that word, whatever God will tell me, I always am, is this my own understanding? Is this me thinking because I want this to happen, or, X, Y, Z? And so I just keep praying through it, and then it'll come to me again. If it comes again, I know that's my listen twice and speak once. And so okay, God, and I'll just do it, And whatever the case is, just obedience is key. Like, you don't know, maybe this lesson isn't for you. Maybe it's for someone else. These trials that you go through, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's for somebody else. But being obedient, you'll be able to see it backwards later. Just do what you're told.
Right.
If it's put on your heart, it's for a reason. And having that discernment, knowing what is your own understanding, a lot of that comes from obedience, I feel like. Buckling down and doing the work and figuring it out. You're not going to do that by yourself. You have to hear what he's telling you. I heard a good analogy a while back. You remember them old Verizon commercials? Like, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so he said, when you can't hear from God, God will talk to anybody. If you'll listen, if you're willing to listen and you open your heart, he'll talk to you. And when you get bad reception on your phone and there's somebody you want to talk to, what do? You walk around the house. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I'll go outside. I'll stand on the roof if I need to, Why do we not do that with God? When he's talking and you don't hear him, it's because you're not in a position to hear him. You need to change your life around and figure out why you're not hearing from him. Something is blocking that connection. And I just thought that was a phenomenal analogy, just, you're willing to do it to talk to your friend. Why won't you do it to hear from God?
That's real deep.
Yeah, because he wants to talk to you. That's all he wants from you.
That's real deep.
Yeah. I'm glad I could shed some light.
No, because I just think about, I do it when I'm talking to my wife a lot, and I'm driving down the road, and if you're from here, from the level of Waverly to Auburn, there's that little section that you're gonna lose service, and I know it every single time. And if I'm talking and we go out there, there are times where I will be talking to myself, and I get so frustrated. And I'm like, oh, I gotta speed up, get reception, and to finish my conversation.
Right.
And yeah, I get the analogy, and the analogy is really good, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks
I'm
for
full
sharing.
of them. I'm full of them.
I like an analogy too.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I say a lot of analogies, but man, that one strikes the nerve out. And hopefully, those that are listening, y'all can get something from that, because sometimes it does feel that way. And personally, I have felt, honestly, in the last year, I've had a lot of ups and downs, and there are times where I'm like, okay, this has presented itself, trying to hear from God, and I feel like I'm alone, and maybe something in my life that, hey, this is hindering you from hearing from him, and it's true. It is very true.
You just have to align yourself with what he wants from you, and figuring that out is another thing. Like I was saying, you can't do it alone. You have to put yourself in that position. Like, let me go stand on the roof to talk to God if that's what I need to do. You know, let me get that service with him because, you know, I tell my kids all the time, that's all he wants. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together or understand it. You know, he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And no matter who you are, where you are, all he wants from you is a relationship.
Yeah.
Talk to him. I sit there. I know it's real funny. My wife used to make fun of me because I'd be laying there at night, and you know, I used to think you can only pray at night before you go to bed. Then I started like, hold on now, something's different, and I'll pray all through the day, you know, and you know, not just before you eat, just sitting there. I'll be driving my work truck, and I'll be praying, you know, but my wife would make fun of me because I'd be praying at night, laying there, and I heard another thing that said, you know, if you're having trouble sleeping, pray. Not pray for sleep, just pray or read your Bible. It'll put you to sleep. And, you know, it sounds bad, but it's true. And, you know, so I would just be sitting there praying and I'll talk to God like I'm talking to you right now. That's how we pray. And I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up about 15, 20 minutes later and don't skip a beat. I'm just right there continuing my conversation, you know, and sometimes you don't hear from them. Sometimes I don't, you know, a lot of times I don't when I want to. And that's when you just got to be still and just keep on. I think it was, it might have been Casey that did a sermon, but said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of Christianity too, if you think about it. Because what do we do when we pray and we don't get the answer we want? What do? We keep praying the same thing over and over, because us as Christians, we know God's going to do it. If it aligns with his word, we know he's going to do it. This healing over my limp that I had for 6 years, I know he's going to do it. It might not be right now, but I know he wants me healed. So I keep praying, expecting a different result because I know I'm going to get it. And so it's just more analogies, you know.
Insane about it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to be insane about it. Yeah. I totally agree. So, you know, you did say that you reached out to Pastor Guy. So, I mean, if you had to say that anybody who is feeling that same way that you felt or kind of going through that, would you say that reaching out to somebody is essential?
Definitely. Don't do it alone. It's not meant for you to carry. You know, Pastor Guy, like I said before, he was even pastor. He taught me, you know, by his stripes we were healed. It's already done. Don't try to do it alone. Mental illness is a real thing and it is scary, and you are not alone. And I haven't known you that long, but I'm sure you feel the same way. If anybody needs anybody to talk to, or, you know, reach out to somebody. You know, I'm always here. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I love to talk. My wife tells me that all the time. But, you know, so somebody, I am here. Mike is here. Pastor Guy is here. Anybody at this church will listen. And I know y'all have friends. Just be open and honest. If they're your friends, they will be there for you. There's no condemnation in needing help. And it takes a strong person to ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy just to get by and do it yourself, and then it's not, you know, and you feel like you're in this hole that you can't get out of. I know when I was in my depression, I fought suicidal thoughts for days. I didn't get out of my bed I didn't turn my TV on not one time for, I know, 2 weeks. Like, I would just lay there and cry. And then I found the gym, and that helped tremendously. And then I found church, and I was up here Monday through Sunday. Anytime, if the doors were unlocked, I was here. Mm-hmm. What do y'all need me to do? Because I knew if I'm not, I'm going to sit at home and cry. So I don't want to feel like this. I know I don't want to hurt myself. I just don't want to hurt anymore, you know? And, you know, Pastor Guy helped me out tremendously, and I don't even think he knows. I haven't really talked a lot about it, but he did. He helped me just listening, and I would cry to anybody that would listen to me. Strangers, I didn't care. Just be open and vulnerable, because that's how you get yourself back together.
Right. Right. Well, that's good, David. I know we got to get going because we got things to do at the church. We're recording on Wednesday night. So, but before we go, is there anything else you want to say?
I love everybody and talking. That's all.
And honestly, if you'll have a chance, if you see him out in public, if you know what he looks like, if you see him in church, I would recommend having a conversation with him because he'll bring a little light to your life for sure. But anyways, I do appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And hopefully we can get you back on here again.
Whenever you need me.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we'll see y'all in the next episode.